So Mo Salah has scored 2 goals for Egypt as we're going through the international break right now. Egypt have now qualified for the World Cup in 2026, which is obviously really good for Mo Salah. And it's nice to see him getting back to some of his best form. It's pretty good, honestly. Even though they're only playing Djibouti, it's nice to see him scoring some goals and also just generally smiling again and looking happy, because he's been, let's just say, in a very mixed emotional state throughout the season so far. Obviously, I still think the situation with Jota is affecting the team quite a lot, and I think Mo Salah, one of the people that seems to be the most affected. But it was nice to see him smiling. Obviously, Egypt being in the World Cup will be really good for him and for Egypt in general, so congratulations to them. Ekitike got an assist on his first start for France as well, which is really, really good for him. However, Isak, losing 2-0 to Switzerland was a bit of an interesting one, and he did hit the post, didn't he? A lot of people very angry with Isak over the course of the last 24 hours. I've seen a lot of people sending some quite nasty tweets in his direction in general. Some people saying that he's basically unfocused and he's made a selfish move to Liverpool and all this kind of stuff. And I think in reality, I think the reason that people have been struggling in terms of form, obviously Isak I still think is still coming back to full fitness. Salah I think is struggling with the Jota situation, and also the fact that Liverpool haven't really been getting into their best form this season. Obviously got away with a few results really, but I think, as you can tell by some of the results, winning in the last minute, etc., there have been situations where Liverpool have been struggling to find that kind of free-flowing football that we saw last season, and that very dominant kind of defensive display that we saw last season as well, which won us so many games. There's definitely an unsettled nature about the team, and you can see obviously that is reflecting in some of the players' performances. I think Salah obviously going away and having a little bit of a break from Liverpool was a really good thing for him at this point, just to kind of reflect on in my opinion, the Chelsea game, probably not his best game. He definitely could have done with passing the ball a bit more, in my opinion. Obviously, he was an absolute monster last season in terms of goals and assists, and I'm never going to hold it against him. But I do think there were situations where Salah probably could have done some different stuff. Maybe fed Isak for a pretty easy potential tap-in on one of the breakaway goals that we saw. But I think overall, the international break going to be a good chance for Slot to think about his team and think about how he can get the best out of his players. Obviously, last season, Slot used Salah extensively on that right wing. He left him a lot higher up the pitch, and Salah got a lot of joy down that side in general. But I think this season, he's really struggled to get the ball in the right kinds of areas for him to be effective. And he has been trying to find those passes, but still not quite getting that link-up play that you would expect. And just in general, I think still adapting to the new players that have come into the team. Ekitike and Isak are obviously very different players to Nunez and Jota and Diaz. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Slot starts to bed those players in and tries to find the best places for them. Overall, though, as I said, Mo Salah scoring goals for Egypt is always a good thing for Liverpool, because hopefully he'll come back feeling a bit more revitalised, getting those kinds of misses out of his head that he had from the Chelsea game, and basically just moving on and starting to bed in this season. I think Liverpool, everyone's overreacting to Liverpool, obviously lost 3 games in a row. But in my opinion, really not that much of a crisis going on. I think it's much more likely that we're just going to see Liverpool slowly adapting with their new players and probably growing into the season a bit more than last season, where they really hit the ground running just because the squad was so cohesive. It was basically just Jurgen Klopp's squad with Chiesa, who barely played anyway, and then Mohamed Salah, who didn't even come until this year. So really, it was just Jurgen Klopp's squad. Everyone was settled. There was obviously no Jota situation last year either, which I think is going to taint this season, whichever way you slice it. The players seeming very unfocused, I think it definitely could be largely in part due to that. Obviously, we've seen a lot of players really playing, I would say, quite badly out of form. Konate just looking like he's lacking concentration, making silly mistakes, giving the ball away really cheaply, not under any pressure. Salah obviously looks a bit out of sorts. We've got new players coming in, Kirkes, Frimpong, and obviously we've got Isak and Ekitike as well, who are all pretty much going to be playing every game that you would expect. And they're all looking a little bit out of sorts, taking some time to settle, which you would expect. Obviously Wirtz as well is a big interesting one. He actually looked really, really good in that Germany game from yesterday, even though he should have had about 4 assists basically. And if you look at the highlight reel from that game, he looked absolutely incredible. But obviously for Liverpool at the minute, Slot doesn't seem to be getting the best out of him. He does seem to be getting marked by 2 or 3 players at a time. And I think, obviously, as I said in previous videos, McAllister's form at the minute and the way that McAllister has been looking like he's still carrying an injury or he isn't quite fit. Those balls that you saw from McAllister last season playing through the lines into that 10 area, that's where you really want to see Wirtz receiving the ball. But obviously, it's been a bit of a struggle for Wirtz this season so far, but I would expect that he'll continue to do well as time goes on and as all these players start to settle in. I think we'll find that as Liverpool get towards the end of the season, they start doing the kinds of things that everyone's expected straight away. But I think when you have 6, 7, 8 new players in your team and you lose some of the key, I'm not saying that they were absolutely amazing players. Núñez obviously definitely split the debate in terms of people who loved him and hated him. I think mostly just online fans hated Núñez, but really I think most actual fans loved him for his chaos and his work rate. Obviously Diaz I think is a bigger miss than people realise, even though maybe he made some frustrating choices at times. The work rate that he put in and the way that he could drag the team up the pitch, he did give us a nice option on the left-hand side for breakaway goals as well, which I don't think Gakpo has really given us. He's a little bit of a different kind of winger. Obviously, the form of Gakpo at the minute hasn't been great either. So there's been a lot of players in the team that have been struggling. I think Gravenberch has been really good this season. I think Szoboszlai has been really good this season as well, although he's been forced to play at right back out of position, really. So I think Slot's got some thinking to do. But overall, I think this international break's probably going to be a good thing for most of our players. Ekitike getting his first start as a number 9 for France was really, really good. I think he'll probably start the next game, judging just by, in my opinion, the form of how Ekitike looks right at it and ready to go whenever he comes on. Isak still looks like he's carrying a little bit of an injury, so maybe, in my opinion, maybe start him on the bench for the next few games for Liverpool, let Ekitike shine. But overall, obviously Salah scoring, Ekitike assisting. We've had a lot of other players doing well on internationals as well. Hopefully we can get all of our players back fit, which is always my concern with international breaks in October. And then we've got some big games coming up. We've got Man United coming up, so it's going to be interesting to see if these players can come back, settle down a little bit, and get back to that kind of form that we're used to seeing this Liverpool team playing. But it's all going to be a bit of a transitional period. So let's see what happens next. As always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think Isak is going to finally get back to his good form that we're looking for? Is he going to get fit over the next few weeks so he can start bagging some goals? Do you think Ekitike is going to start? Do you think Salah's going to get out of this funk that he's in? Do you think Liverpool are going to get out of the funk that they're in? Let me know down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.